UEFA Women's Nations League fixtures against Scotland and the Netherlands. And thanks, Rachel, to your time. We'll begin with Anton at Sky Sports, please.
Hi, Rachel. Good to see you.
You too.
Obviously, preparing for the first ever Nations League, and we'll get to England in a moment, but obviously the Nations League build-up has been dominated by the situation that's affecting Spain and their players. So I just want to get your take on the position the players are in and what they've had to deal with since that magnificent night in Sydney for them.
Yeah, I've been hearing all sorts that's been going on behind the scenes with the Spanish players, but something I've not kept up closely with the last couple of days, obviously focusing on being here. But what I will say is I think it's extremely unfortunate that what happened and the incident that happened with Jenny Hermoso is fully overshadowing the fact that they won the World Cup. You see it on a day-to-day basis in the media, and everyone's talking about that rather than how exceptional they played during the World Cup and in the final. But yeah, we as players and everyone in the female game stands with them, the Spanish players and in particular Jenny Hermoso. So hopefully it all gets resolved the right way, and yeah, we're all standing with them in solidarity, and hopefully we can kick on.
Rachel, as a fellow professional, how sad is it to see that the players, what should be at the pinnacle of their career, are potentially having to withdraw their labour to make real change within the country? The fact they shouldn't be in this position.
No, and it just shows how far we've got to go as a women's football, in the world. It's a really, really sad time to watch players, colleagues go through things like that. It's awful. But again, it's what we continue to keep pushing for and fighting for each day, and try and be role models for everybody else. And again, yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, one that, again, I think every female player in the whole world stands with the Spanish team. So, like I said, hopefully it gets resolved soon and we don't have to go through experiences like this anymore.
Rachel, we're here chatting. It doesn't feel that long ago since we were all out in Australia going through all this, chatting away about football. Do you feel refreshed and ready to go again?
It's a weird one, really. I think it's weird being back with the girls again because we were just with them. Feels like we weren't with them. Feels like we were with them. But I think we all got pretty much adequate time off post the World Cup. But it's our job. We've got to get straight back into it, back in with our clubs, back in internationally. And yeah, we're all just ready to go again and focus on the upcoming Nations League.
Serena spoke last week about how, having these big games ahead of the season isn't fair on the players. Is that something that you echo as well?
I do think the calendar is something that does need to be addressed moving forward. You've seen a significant amount of injuries in the past year or so, which you can only think may be a part of the calendar and the excessive amount of games that we do have during the season, especially the girls playing in Champions League as well. So I do think it needs to be looked at and addressed in the future. But, as of right now, we're not in a position to sort of minimise any games and game time that we've got. So we just have to tackle it head on right now and put ourselves in the best position physically and mentally to play.
And Rachel, finally, how does it feel to be back, to be here, back at St George's Park, preparing for what will be a massive game against Scotland? Yeah,
it's always great to be back with the team and obviously at this beautiful place. But yeah, we're all just ready to go now. It's a massive game, massive 2 games we've got coming up, an exciting new tournament to play in. So bring it on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anton. Take questions from the floor. We'll begin with broadcasters, if there are any questions from broadcasters. We'll go to Katie Shanahan, next to your ITV.
Rachel, good to see you. First of all, congratulations on being named on the shortlist for the Ballondor and the FIFA Best Award. How much does it mean to be nominated for such prestigious accolades?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have words for it. It's obviously the biggest honour. I don't particularly like individual awards, but, it comes off the back of having success with teams. So being up there on a list with some of the best players in the world is obviously an incredible feeling, incredible honour. And yeah, sometimes look at it and take a step back and think about, how I've got there and the journey that I've been on. But it's a really big honour for me.
Mary Earps was also the other England player nominated alongside you for the Ballondor and FIFA Best Award. How key was she to England's World Cup success this summer?
She's been key to us for ages. Everyone in this room in the world knows how good Mary is. And and she probably still hasn't reached the potential yet. So, you know, she's a fantastic player, fantastic human, deserves all the accolades. But yeah, she's a key part of this team. And yeah, going forward is going to be a massive part. So yeah, shout out to her because she's brilliant.
What makes her a world-class goalkeeper?
I think her day-to-day, she's a true professional. Everything she does is how she can be best for any game, any training session. You know, she's doing everything she possibly can, and I think sometimes that gets overlooked. And behind the scenes, you guys and other people don't always see how professional players are. And yeah, she's just a true pro and always committed to making herself better.
Thank you.
Katie, we'll go to Sarah at BBC. Thank you.
Hi, Rachel. One of the Spanish players today was asked, as she reported for international duty, if she was happy to be there and be in the squad, and she replied and said no. What's your response to that? You know, given England's generally very positive environment and everything that you've built here, do you think it's a massive shame that there are people who feel like that about playing for their country? Yeah,
it's awful to hear that, because for me, and I speak on behalf of probably everybody in the camp and who's involved in England team, it's the biggest honour to put on the England shirt and you know, just be around these type of players, the staff, the facilities we've got. It's the biggest honour you can possibly have in the women's game, to play for your country and represent the country as a whole. So it's heartbreaking to hear that somebody wouldn't want to be there. You know, I'm sure there's players maybe in the world that aren't always happy with everything, but to play for your country, again, for me is, you know, we never take it for granted. It's one of the most prideful feelings you can have. So it's such a shame to hear that somebody's going through that experience, yeah.
Slight curveball here, but something about the weather. Far cry from...
Switch up.
Yeah. Far cry from today's conditions. BBC Sport ran a story last week about the extreme conditions that players could face at the Men's World Cup in 2026 in America and Mexico, Canada. You obviously have experience of playing in, you know, very hot temperatures in Texas and in the States. Could you just tell us a little bit about what it's like playing in those kind of extreme temperatures, and if you think players could be in danger in those summer months?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the humidity is what gets you the most. Pair that with the heat as well, it's not the best. Especially midday, 3 o'clock kickoffs is something I think should be avoided, because it's not safe. The temperatures rise so high there, and yeah, for me, personal experience, it's not a safe place to be. So hopefully they can take the timings into account.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll go to Sandra. Thank you.
Hi, Rachel. I hope you're well and, well, relatively as rested as you can be. I was just going to ask, you know, you play with Rachel Corsie and Kirsty Hansen. Just how do you see them as players and the kind of threat that they're going to pose in terms of that match on Friday?
I think the whole Scotland team are fantastic. You know, obviously we've got Kirsty and Rach close by to me, but they're a great team, and it's obviously a big rivalry. I'm sure that they're going to want to win, as are we. But yeah, Corsie's a great leader. Obviously our club captain as well. So she's a great leader. She'll bring that rivalry to life, I'm sure. And you know, you've all seen Kirsty's success that she's had in the past year, and she's a great player. But we can't just talk about individuals. Obviously, they're a good side, a really good side, and it's a game that I think will be great for the fans as well.
And just going back to some of the matters off the pitch, obviously Scotland settled their legal action. They were going to take over equal pay, and obviously the situation going on with Spain. But just how important is it that female players have this space to be able to bring up these issues, to be able to take some form of action? Because we know that obviously we've seen with Nigeria, other teams also wanting to just highlight and address issues that are problematic for them in terms of wanting to perform at their best level on the pitch.
Yeah, I think trust and, you know, open, honest conversations with the federations is something that is massive in terms of growing the women's game. Like I said, for us as players, as people, we're always trying to strive for better and what's right, not just for the players involved right now, but for the next generation and the future for years to come of the women's game. So to have that platform is something that I think probably gets overlooked, but it's a place that you need to get to in order to petition for more and what's right and what we deserve.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Sandra. Yeah, we'll go to Charlotte just in front. Thank you.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello.
England also have their own battles that they are fighting within their camp and negotiations ongoing with the FA. I just wanted to ask where the players are at with that. Have you had further discussions, if you can update us?
Yeah, obviously we parked that for the World Cup. You know, I think people were concerned of distractions. There was absolutely no distractions for us in the World Cup, and those conversations were parked. We've got a great team in place to take those discussions further, and I think we're in a really positive place to achieve an outcome. We all want the same thing. The Federation and the players want to come to the same agreement, which is the backing of the FA that we have, which is great, and the leadership group and the players that, you know, put themselves in front of those meetings are fantastic and do a great job. So I think we're in a great place.
And another handbrake turn on a different topic. I spoke to Carla Ward ahead of the World Cup, and she said, like, you're desperate to win the Golden Boot. You just wanted to play, and you went on to win that. But how have your club managed your workload? How have you adapted your pre-season training coming into this camp?
Yeah, I think obviously it's different club to club, but Carla's been fantastic with me. And Jordan as well, and you know, and all the World Cup players had a couple of weeks off, and she's really good at managing loads and how to get the best out of her players. So in a pretty good place.
Good to hear it.
Thanks, Charlotte. We'll go to Dom. Sorry, hands up. Thank you.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello.
Is it strange to have to kind of put your mind back into England, given that you haven't kind of started the new domestic season? Is it weird to go from kind of a World Cup straight back into another international break?
Yeah, because I think after the Euros last year we did have competitive fixtures in the WSL before camp. I think. Cast my mind back to then. Slept since then. But yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to switch your head from one to another. But again, it's our job. We're professionals, and that's what we're here to do. So.
And you mentioned, I think one of the first questions was about potentially the congestion of the calendar, and you said that maybe that's something that needs to be looked at. This is obviously a new tournament. England's first match in it is this week. Is this not maybe another competition that maybe the players could do without?
I don't know about do without. I think it's just maybe how do we spread them out? 2 here, 2 next month, 2 the month after. It's intense. And they're not just friendlies, and you know we look at every game the same, whether it's a tournament, World Cup final or a friendly. It's the way we approach the game. It's the same, but I think the magnitude of the games is quite excessive. So yeah, I think it does need to be addressed. But again, we're footballers. We want to play football, so no complaints.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dom. We'll finish with 2 more. We'll go to Tom and then across to Molly. Thanks.
Thanks for your time, Rachel. Can I just follow on from Dom's question there? Because you're obviously about to embark on a campaign now to not just a Nations League, but to try and qualify a Team GB side for the Olympics. And obviously you played in Tokyo, you had the Euros and then the World Cup. And now, hopefully, an Olympics and then hopefully a Euros after that. I mean, physically...
Blow my neck.
Yeah, but well, that's what I'm kind of asking. Like, how do you
Planning out my timeline for me.
How do you feel physically about the prospect of those consecutive summers of tournament after tournament after tournament if you can qualify for the Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't look any further than what's ahead of me right now, which is the next 2 games. Of course, this tournament is to push the qualification for the Olympics, and again, I haven't thought about it the way you just laid it out, so maybe I should go away and sleep on that one. But no, I think it's intense, but that's international football, and that's a position we've put ourselves in, and that's what we want to be a part of. Like I said, it is a magnitude of games, but you know, it's aside from international football and club football, it's how to keep our bodies healthy in the best way we can. And again, it's our job. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to, but for me, it's just here and now and focusing on these next 2 games.
Thank you. And please could I just ask one other question about the situation with Spain, because you as Lionesses quite quickly made a statement supporting them very quickly after the final, which I think the sport kind of commended you guys for. I guess I'm wondering, have you been disappointed not to see more support from them for the Spain players from the likes of FIFA and UEFA, you know, taking more of a stance in support of the players? Because you did it very quickly, but maybe others haven't been quite so quick to follow in supporting the players.
I think we just voiced them. I think everybody is in solidarity with them. You know, we've luckily got a platform where we can announce how we feel and who we stand with and what we stand for. And yeah, they know we stand with them, and I'm sure every other nation does as well. Not every nation might be politically in the best place to post something like that. But yeah, I think from the feedback we've got is that everyone stands in support and solidarity with the Spanish players.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. We'll end with Molly from the Times. Thank you.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
After the Euros, we spoke to a lot of the players, and they were talking about that kind of huge emotional high that you have at a tournament and then kind of coming back and kind of going back to normal. I wonder if it's been the same this time. I know, obviously, you guys didn't win the World Cup, but you still made history, got all the way through the competition. What's it been like just kind of emotionally, not just as a footballer, but as a person, trying to kind of get back to normal almost?
Yeah, I think probably the fact that it wasn't in our home country deterred a little bit of the emotion. You know, I think it was easier in a way to come back from a country where it was and everything was faced in Australia. But, you know, the support's been great. Bump into people in the street and say how proud they are, and it's a nice feeling. Obviously, everyone knows we're disappointed with how it turned out, but again, we've made the nation proud once again, and that's what we want to do. I think everyone deals with it a little bit different, but here we are, back at it again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Molly. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to you, Rachel, as well. Thank you.